Welcome to the third video in our series on the formal elements. And if you can hear my dog chewing a bone in the background, I apologize. He just won't stop. This video focuses on texture and balance. So texture refers to the perception of smooth, rough, flat, bumpy, fine, etc., the various surface qualities, and includes both actual texture and visual texture. So texture is one of the elements we respond to the most viscerally because we can apply sensations of texture from the real world to the textures visible within a work of art. There are two types of texture, actual texture and visual texture, which we will explore further. Actual texture refers to the true texture of a work of art. In this image, we'll see Mona Hatoum's prayer mat, which is a life-size Muslim prayer mat made of thousands of needles pointed upwards. The texture of this is sharp. Viewers do not need to touch the needles to know that they are sharp or to understand what that would feel like. The knowledge that kneeling on this mat would cause pain allows viewers to have a negative reaction and to understand the pain of sacrifice that comes from worship. So in this case, the actual texture of it also relates to the meaning of the work of art. Actual texture can also refer to the texture of the materials used within a work of art. Vincent van Gogh was known for a very thick application of paint known as impasto, which physically altered the surface of the canvas. The texture is separate from the texture within the actual painting, but if you were to stand in front of this picture, you would see the paint literally extending off of the surface of the canvas. The second type of texture, known as visual texture, refers to the illusion of texture within a work of art. Jean-Auguste Dominique Ingres, a highly skilled painter, created images that had smooth surfaces with an even application of paint, but created many believable textures within his image. In the Comtesse d'Haussonville, you can understand the stiff, crinkly fabric of the dress, the smooth texture of the woman's hair, and even feel the roughness of the velvet dresser in the background. Visual texture relies on the viewer's ability to understand the feeling of texture based on experience rather than through actually touching it. So if you know what silk feels like, if you know what velvet feels like, you'll be able to understand the meaning of texture within this work of art, and it makes it feel a little bit more real for you. In photography, texture is often used to create, or is often created by light. In this photograph by Garnett, the contrast of black and white light on fields and a river creates a bumpy texture that is an illusion of the photograph. If you were to actually stand in these fields, you would not get that sense of texture. But the way it is photographed from up above and the way the light contrasts with itself, it almost looks like lines of sand in a sandbox. In reality, these are bumps within a field and are not this reality that we see in the picture. But from this distance, it's something that we can see very clearly. Moving on to balance. Balance refers to the visual distribution of weight within an image. It includes symmetrical balance and asymmetrical balance. And balance helps guide the eye through a work of art, telling the viewer what to look at first. In symmetrical balance, the visual weight of an image is divided evenly down the center, with a unity of color, size, shape, and placement. In this triptych of the Crucifixion by Perugino, the canvas is split into three parts. The largest panel is in the center, depicting Christ on the cross, with a figure of the same size on either side of him. The two smaller panels are also the same in size, each containing a figure who is set slightly further back from the scene in the center. There is a unified landscape throughout all three panels, and the eye is naturally drawn first to the center and then to either side, creating an equal balance of imagery. If you were to divide this image right down the center, you would have almost identical imagery on either side of the canvas. Asymmetrical balance uses a contrast of size, color, placement, and shape to create contrast while still maintaining an overall balanced image. In Gustav Klimt's Death and Life, the right side depicts life and the left side depicts death. Life is shown as visually larger than death, occupying half of the canvas. By contrast, death only occupies 1/3 of the canvas and is much smaller than life. Despite the difference in size and shape, the image remains balanced due to Klimt's use of color. Life is depicted in warm colors, which have a lighter visual weight, while death is in cool colors, which have a heavier visual weight. By using more of the warm colors and a smaller amount of the cool colors, Klimt effectively balances the two images. Neither side ends up actually feeling heavier because the physical representation of death is so much smaller, despite its heavier nature, than the much larger image of life on the right. This ends the video on texture and balance. Please stay tuned for the next video.